what do you think about the link between craftsmanship and design? And more, we're observing that people who are practicing Ottoman art today, um, their numbers is getting smaller and smaller. Uh, do you think that over the years there has been some sort of you know neglectance towards these craftsmanship, the artisanship, and
Yeah,
today it is very difficult to find someone who knows how to work on on
calligraphy. Yeah,
doors, on interiors, all these detailed artisanship which was popular in Ottoman era. Now maybe to some extent miniature paintings we see people practicing, but I'm talking about silver or
there are lots. Yeah.
or wood carving, all this stuff. What do you think? What is going on to this artisanship? And Istanbul municipalities some courses towards this area. Are you familiar with these activities and these artists in this field?
Yes. First of all, I should say this. When I started, they think I'm designing Ottoman. I don't design Ottoman. I can design Ottoman, but I am influenced by all sorts of Ottoman, as I said, Byzantine, all sorts of periods in the parts of the world I'm living in and that I'm traveling to from everything that I see. But one of the main ones would be Ottoman, sure. Now, when I started designing, there was no design that felt at home in Turkey. Everything was either Italian looking, French looking, or some copy of a modern look, which didn't look like anything because, as you know, the real one always rejects a copy if it is still existing. Whereas our ancient designs, like the architect Sinan's design or something like that, was spectacular, absolutely finesse, at top of the world. So this was my reaction all my childhood, because my grandfather was a collector, and they would put one side the European collections, and for them the Turkish ones looked less sophisticated, so it would be in back rooms or something. And this really was probably without knowledge hurting me. And so I started studying many things in the mosques. And I was the first one, for example, that produced a dinner set out of Iznik. At the time, there wasn't any sophisticated Iznik. It was just gadgets in the covered bazaar being sold, Kütahya Iznik, for, walls, terrible stuff. And the professor, like in the Iznik Vakfı, they weren't selling in the open anything, maybe they were working on it. But so this recognition came to me in my British schooling. I went to a house with some teachers, and in this house I saw on the wall something familiar, and it was an Iznik collection. I said, "Can this be ours?" And they said yes. And Gulbenkian family had tried to sell their main collection, leaving Turkey to Turkey, and we weren't interested in it. So then we didn't have an interesting collection in Turkey about it. This is one example. And also in carpets, for example, I used to see in Christie's and Sotheby's carpet sales, amazing carpets, but in Turkey only in some houses, silk carpets, they would call it. Whereas I find the woolen, sophisticated, Gördes, Uşak, all sorts of here, Kula, wonderful carpets, which weren't precious and still are not as much as they are in the States. So this I all recognized there. And when I came back to work, it came out in my design, all these designs, colors, and usage of antique pieces. And this made people, of course, happy because they were living in homes. First, I was designing restaurants, then homes. they were living in homes that they weren't feeling part of. And when I was commissioned to design a mosque, because I had won that year the Modern Designer of the Year award in London. So a gentleman from Shakir family, in the name of Shakir family, they were living in London. Their mother was Turkish. And I had designed a home for them that they liked. And they said, we want a modern mosque. Is it possible that you can take care of it? Because the architect they found us hasn't given us the modern identity that we want, because they are patron of the arts. So then I worked seriously in mosques to understand the craftsmanship. Our sophisticated craftsmanship was amazing in many things. We had lost our ustas. This is
Exactly,
to answer your
exactly.
question, but many of them at the time were Armenians and Syriani people that politically, unfortunately, we sent away, or both sides. I don't want to go into politics, but with unfortunate circumstances, we had lost our creme de la creme elites in craftsmanship. Then I had to have things done. So I went and found artists from the universities, and I decided to work with artists in crafts. So in the beginning, they thought it was an insult. Then I said, we have to get these done in the perfect level. So this needs artistic level. So I worked in many artists in crafts. And right now it's a very close cutting edge, as you know, art and
Beautiful.
craft.
It's a
So
beautiful, beautiful mosque, and it has a different atmosphere. It has the same feel. It gives us the same feeling, but the atmosphere is magic. I love
I
this place.
hated the idea of people saying there is no art in Islam, or some art is prohibited in Islam. This was also my something that disturbed me, because uh, you don't call it like that. All mosques are full of art. The art of those days was this kind of production of craftsmanship, all this for acoustic, this, how you solved it, all the materials you used, and the harmony of the blue and white tiles in Rustam Pasha, for example. Amazing works. And carpets. Nowadays, unfortunately, we have got the worst carpets in the mosques. In those days, carpets were donation, so they were extremely beautiful, and they would be laid next to each other, and people would line out with their arm's length, and so they didn't need a line on the floor. Now, I mean, because we stopped thinking so much, we need a line. And in the Shakirin Mosque, I lost one day. They couldn't find me, and they came and they made a line on top of the mihrab even, because they didn't see a line, they didn't know how to put their heads. Can you imagine? I mean, this is lack of thinking, lack of creativity, and so on. I think we have to open minds of people. The other one would make us only slaves of other people who use their brains.
Exactly. Do you think that we have chance to catch up with all these craftsmanship now? I mean, is it possible, for example, to introduce these techniques
Yeah,
at
some,
design schools
yes.
in Turkey?
I'm sorry. This, I don't know what happens here. Yeah. Yes, some already have been, because we have been producing many things. We have got very good craftsmen, very kıymetli ustalar, I call them. Usta is something that is used honorary. I don't tell everybody the name usta. To become an usta, you have to be the best in that field. There are a number now, because people have been producing, my colleagues and so on, in different kind of tastes. So there are a number of very good ustas, and also in calligraphy and Turkish Ottoman Selçuk art as well. But it needs to be refined. There are some that are exquisite, but to have it in a more homogeneous level, it has to be refined. This can't be done with government hands. It has to be done by private hands more. I mean, government has to back it, but it has to be done by people with good vision and aesthetic understanding.
Exactly. I mean, there has been so much emphasis on university diploma. However, I think some of the people may have maybe talent to invest in craftsmanship, and
More
this
important than the diploma, for sure. Yeah.
I think this is due to education policies since 60s. Too much emphasis on university diploma and neglectance of métier, arts and
Yeah.
craftsmanship, and we are missing this part. But I've been observing in the recent TV series that carpet has become wool carpet has become again, or they try to make it popular. And I have discussed this with you as well, this carpet issue. So coming from that, what is your interaction or contacts with TV series sectors? To what extent you collaborate with them? I know that you have
Yes.
been inviting them.
Actually, I graduated with a book that I made, which I didn't publish later, in carpets. The carpets are very well done, and I have been twice elected as a judge in Germany for new carpet designs, and it was amazing. There are so many knowledge people in the world that actually promote our carpets and appreciate our carpets more than actually us, thank God. And still, restoration is best quality apparently in Turkey. Amazing, they say. And I was proud to be in that 8 people team. There is a magazine called Halı, as you might know. If you don't, please, if anybody is interested, they should really subscribe, or nowadays with, I think it's easier even to open up. It is a very sophisticated magazine done by English people, and this magazine writes the truth on this level. When I look at our carpets, there is a great sales in carpets with Arabic design. I'm not against it. We can have Arabic design, Japanese design, Chinese, German, whatever. But we shouldn't lose our own identity at the same time. I mean, there are some designs they are selling us Turkish is not Turkish at all. We have lost that identity in many manufacturing because they believe that it's easier, the other one. And so they go for that. This has to be handled properly. Also in the fairs, I see quite bad carpets being sold. I think this is one of our main standing in design world, and this needs to be taken care of. But government is behind it. But I'm not sure how much knowledge and also respect to ancient arts, and also respect to our own identity of standing for future. If we don't stick to our own identity, we cannot create the future. We have to be able to have a Turkish identity of some sort. This doesn't mean to put 3 dots for Chintamani, this is understood wrongly, or to create from an Orientalist painting an Ottoman look. That's not being Turkish. I think looking at old Turkish, whatever is created, and then come up with your own kind of interpretation that has a touch, could be just a surface, could be just a layer, could be a color, but I'm sure in time it would produce a whole Turkish identity. There are people in Turkish carpet that do very fine jobs.
Yeah, we should go back to our art?
We should, yes, we should. I mean, we should understand it. Even if we want to reject it, we have to understand it, because what will you reject if you don't understand it?
What do you think in this sector, in order to appreciate and invest and spend more on design, which one is more important, the level of education or the level of income?
I think level of income, or I mean, the money put forth is needed for sure for a design, because at the end you're going to produce it. But the level of education defines your priorities. I mean, for years, when there was less of education, let's say in Turkey, people's priorities were just clothing, or depending on your education, just buying a car or buying 5 cars, instead of buying having a beautiful library and having a beautiful painting. Whereas when we look at Britain, people's choices would be different. Their homes, their artwork, or something, a craftsmanship. In Italy, if you tell them about a surname or the price of, nobody's interested, or how much money you have. But if you say, I'm a designer, wherever you're going, people get up and they start clapping and saying bravo. So, I mean, this creates a certain dynamics. I think we have to be proud, we have to like what we are doing and then make money. If we hate and just try to make money, there will be lots of people who won't be happy and will be there just for a mission. And that mission in most cases is not achieved in that way either. Just looking at, Bill Gates, and they are such a small percentage in the big world. Whereas being happy and being creative, especially working with hands, apparently, makes you very happy, they say. I'm trying it. I'm trying to do things with my hand since this COVID time, and it changes a lot in my day life, I would say. So
I want to ask you something. When I ask you which photograph I should use to announce this art talk, you sent me the picture with you were producing, you were making wooden tables. Tell us,
actually,
you
I'm not that much of a craftsman, but I have come here working in field. Like somebody that was doing my husband's book was surprised when she saw me working on stone in Antalya in 1980s, when we were building the whole place. There was an 80-year-old stonemason, and there was no other people who knew the job. It was a restoration. So I tried to show him the corners of things and so on. And I was working, and there was a shot, a very vague shot, and she used it in one of the books. And she said, I thought you were just, and because you're not an architect, just using architects and commanding. I don't believe that you can do anything without knowing what you're doing and going through hard work of some sort to achieve things. So I do know a lot about what I'm doing, and I don't work necessarily all the time, but I wanted to enforce ustalık, or best kind of craftsmanship, and how important it is. Today, I'm sure a good carpenter is making more money or many of our ustas are making more money than me, maybe, and also probably of many universities graduates in many fields, because good work is needed in construct. There are tons of constructors, and good work needs a good eye. And usta name was given in the days, and they didn't learn it at school. They were always next to their the person who knew better than them. And so in the old days, when you used to ask, how did you learn this? They would say, my usta has taught me this, and he was this and this name, mostly a Christian name, because also in carpets, you see in many Turkish carpets crosses, because it's a kind of thanking when they have finished, these ladies working, to, you know, getting a blessing in a way. So I think it's amazing. I just wanted to point out how important it is. Not that I'm very good usta, no, but that you have to work in the field together to get something properly done.